there, welcome to episode 3 of Courtside. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you back. If you're a regular listener, thank you for sticking with us here all the way to episode 3. If you're new to Courtside, then you are most welcome to join us. Courtside is a series of conversations that are designed to help us as courtside parents, us as sports parents, foster and create that right environment around the sport that our kids love, the sports that help them come alive. It's a real pleasure to welcome you to this episode, because in this episode I'm having an interview with a good friend of mine, Raphael Maurer. Raphael is the owner and the director of the Barcelona Tennis Academy. It's the tennis academy where our son Elijah is a part of. He's one of the full-time players there, and so that's why when we talk you'll hear references to that. It was a fun and entertaining interview. Very aware of the dynamics that go on between me and Raf. He's a friend. He's the coach of our son. We're kind of, I guess, in that very clinical sense, we're customers to him. So there's all that dynamics that go on there. But what you will get from this interview is a whole lot of rich learning from a guy who has been in this sport for a long time and a guy who reflects around whole life coaching for young people, not just simply whether we're going to make your child the next world number one. He talks about coaching being a gift. It's a gift to be able to coach young people, to be role models to them. He talks about growth coming through storms in life. He even talks about he doesn't want his players to have a 100% win rate. He wants his players to lose matches because it's only through the losing that players grow and learn. He talks about the long journey that coaches and players go on together, because it's about a whole life development. It's about the process. It's not simply about the initial short-term wins. This, I think, is going to be an exceptional podcast, and I do hope that you will love it. If you love it, please like, please subscribe, please comment, and so that we can continue on this journey as courtsiders together. Hope you enjoy this show. All the best.
He's courtside dad. He's courtside dad. He dreams of Wimbledon. He's courtside dad.
I'm recording now, so no swearing, or Elijah will tell you off. Raf or Raphael?
Raphael, Rafa. They call me Rafa here.
Okay.
It seems popular in Spain for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't know why. Yeah, it's a good point. It's good to know. So, Rafa, welcome to Courtside. Thank you for agreeing to be on this.
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure. Of course.
And, did you agree on this, or was it kind of...
I was a bit pushed into it, but no, I'm just joking. No, I agreed. Of course I agreed. Yeah, I think it's a great idea, so I'm totally for it.
Great. Can you, we've known each other for 6 months as we've been here at the Academy. Can you tell us a little bit about your story that's led you from picking up a tennis racket through to becoming the director of this Academy? What's your journey in tennis?
Do we have enough time for this? So
we'll do the abridged version.
No, I started tennis mostly because my mother used to play tennis at a pretty good level in Switzerland. So I was always also courtside in a different way when I was a kid. So I started when I was like 2 years old, and tennis has been obviously a huge part of my life. And I played tennis and football actually when I was a kid, and I was pretty good at both. And around the age of 13 or so, I had to make a choice because I just couldn't do both anymore at a high level. So I chose tennis, mostly because in tennis you had a ranking and you saw where you were, and football was more a team thing, and it was more difficult to see where you were standing. So I chose tennis, and it's been tennis since then, and full speed. So I played. I was very good at a young age. I chose tennis at the age of 13 because I was number 2 in Switzerland at that time in my age group, in the 14 and under age group. So I had quite a lot of success in as a young tennis player, let's say, in the juniors. And then due to a bit of a psychological issue that was, mostly forced by one of my coaches actually, who had an impact, pretty negative impact on me. I lost a lot of confidence, and it just happened that I decided to go study, and I went to university in the United States with a scholarship, and it took me a long time before going to university to get some confidence back. There was a very important person in my life, at the home club where I'm from, just between Geneva and Lausanne in Switzerland, who helped me a lot to get back at a good level, which allowed me to play college tennis for 4 years, and then I started working as a tennis coach. And I was in the US for about 7 years, and then I worked in different countries. I worked in China and Hong Kong for a while with Chinese girls and the federation there. We also started an academy there in Hong Kong, which was fun. But then Europe, was always the place that I wanted to come back to. So it was for 1 year in Portugal, where I had written a business plan to start an academy in Portugal. That was my idea because of the climate and because really nothing was done there in terms of international tennis academies and programs for kids who want to become elite players. There's a lot of club programs, but nothing at that level, so it was interesting to me. But after realizing that tennis was not a big sport in Portugal, that football is the one sport, and that
is it? I had never noticed that.
So I realized that maybe Barcelona would be a better option. I mean, of course, there's more competition. There's a lot of academies here, but there's so much demand that it's a place where there's movement all the time, and it's a very interesting place and very competitive place to have a tennis academy. So it was it made sense. It made sense to come here. And it's been 8 years now. It's been 8 years since we started this. I started this with a Spanish guy, and about a year and a half ago he left. So now it's just me, and it's been fun. It's been obviously a great place to work at because of the climate, because of the people, because of the culture and the way of life. I think it's a very relaxed atmosphere, and it's something that I like. Being from Switzerland, I've always been a bit more stressful there, so it's nice to have this kind of atmosphere where people are a bit more relaxed and things. How do you handle the time thing
when people don't turn up in time? Being Swiss, this is a serious.
It was difficult for me at first. Because obviously Switzerland's time is the time. It's very. If you arrive 5 minutes late, you're very late. If you arrive 5 minutes late here, you're early. Usually, we expect people to come 30 minutes after the time. But no, it's been okay. It's been okay, and you get used to it, and you find the positive side of it. Yeah. You find it actually to be something that is more relaxing, and it's in a way, I think how life should be. Of course, there's got to be some rules, and you got to be. Also following, some guides and plans. But I think that it's also good to see life as, we're not here very long. Life is short, and I think it's good to also to see things with a bit more relaxed state of mind.
Definitely. You talked about, which we won't go on, kind of a negative effects with a coach. But have there been other coaches, or what was the context like in the States that's had a positive impact on you with your playing?
No, definitely. I met many very good, very inspiring coaches who have helped me a lot. I was unfortunate a bit to get to spend time with this coach because he kind of came in between two very good moments for tennis in Switzerland. We had a coach when I started with a national training center. Switzerland is a small country, so we have one national training center where all the best players train together. And I started there with a coach called Georges Deniau, who was a French guy who was the Davis Cup captain for Switzerland and for France, and he coached guys like Guy Forget and Jakob Lasek, who were top 10 in the world, and he was amazing. And I was with him for about a year when I started with Swiss tennis, and unfortunately he got fired. I mean, French and Swiss German they don't always see eye to eye. So he got fired, and they hired another coach, and this coach was not good for me. And I probably, and one of the mistakes that we made maybe with my parents at that time is that we stayed there too long. Obviously, it was the national training center. It was the one place where all the best players trained, and you just don't leave that place. If you leave that place, it's because you get kicked out. And I stayed, and that coach really hurt me. And this is where I saw really the impact of psychology on
Yeah.
on the sport, and it's really took my confidence way down. There was a moment actually during that time when I felt physically shorter when I changed from my school clothes, because we used to have school in the morning and train in the afternoon. When I changed from school clothes to my tennis clothes, I felt physically like 10 inches smaller. Like it was a really strong feeling, and this came from that coach. And it's so strong. The mental side is so strong that it obviously took me a long time to get back to believing in myself.
What's the learning you've taken from that to say, I'm going to be almost a polar opposite?
Yeah, I think that actually I think there's a very good reason. One of the main reasons why I became a coach is because of what happened to me as a kid. I think that is something that I don't want to happen to any kid, ever. I think that it's such a bad feeling to have, and it's a feeling that you can have that can last a long time. It can come from a coach, it can come from losing a match, it can come from parents, it can come from many different things, but it's a feeling you want to try to avoid because it makes you feel really low. And I think one of the reasons I became a coach is because of what happened to me, and also because I'm very passionate about the sport of tennis, obviously, and it's been a huge part of my life. But I think that you always have to see the positive side of everything. I think that is always, you always learn from everything, and we talk about this with the kids here also. Life is made of challenges. We can call them like little storms, and if you don't have those challenges or those little storms, you don't grow as a person.
True.
And I think that this has helped me also grow stronger as an individual. So I'm also thankful for it in that way, even though maybe it kind of stopped my possibilities of becoming a professional tennis player, because I was very good at the time, and a lot of people believed that I had potential to go very far. But I think it's life, and I think that I'm very, very happy with my life now, and to share my experience and the years in tennis with the children here is for me is great. I love it.
So is there a particular joy about coaching that gets you out of bed in the morning?
Well, first of all, I love tennis. I think you have to love what you deal with, and for me, tennis is an amazing sport. It's a very tough sport. It's an individual sport, but it covers so many areas of life and so many skills that you see in everyday life. And I think to be able to be a role model, or to be able to be a tutor to these kids, and use the sport of tennis as a tool to get them to grow as individuals is amazing, because tennis as an individual sport teaches you so many skills, just like confidence and patience and decision making, and standing up for yourself, communication skills, people skills. I mean, everything is there. The sport of tennis offers all of that, and it's a great I don't know if you say stepping stone, maybe.
Yes.
For the future for these kids. If they become professional tennis players, they will become professional tennis players. It has to be great. If it doesn't have to be, they will still, grow as strong individuals thanks to the sport. And I think they will, obviously learn so much through the sport of tennis. And to be involved in this, I think is a gift. It's a gift to be able to share the years of experience, but to also to see them improve and to see them grow as individuals, not only because they hit tennis balls, because they learn so much through the sport. I think it's we are lucky. I think as tennis coaches, we're lucky to do that.
It's an interesting word, gift, because we've been talking a lot about that with the largest, kind of looking at he is a gift to us, therefore we want to protect him, we want the best for him, and the opportunity of playing sport is, and the fact that he's talented at it and he gets so much out of it, isn't an experience that I ever had. So therefore, in one sense, it's a gift for him that he has something in his life that he can thoroughly enjoy and thrive at. And it's about him recognising that what is it more that this sport brings for him than simply, he's 10. Of course he thinks he's going to be world number one at some point. Every 10-year-old thinks all these things are real. But it's about the gift of what being here and the sport brings to him, that is that stepping stone of him growing. I was taken by what you commented on, how physically you felt smaller, whereas over the past 6 months, reflecting on Elijah, you're doing something here that physically makes him feel taller. So I just kind of thank you in one sense for that halfway through a podcast to say that personal thank you. But it's interesting because when I watch him play, he is the slightest, and invariably he is always the smallest on court against someone. But you don't get that through the way he now holds himself. And so sport is a gift. And there is a life affirming that can come through sport that maybe other mediums don't offer.
Yeah, I believe so. And I believe that, the thing also here with the academy is that, we're able to create a team atmosphere, which is also very important, because tennis can be very difficult, as an individual sport where you feel, alone, and for a very long time also when you play the match, the coach is not allowed to talk to you, and you cannot talk to anyone, and you're really like alone trying to fight your way through like a tennis match and having a tough time with nobody really helping you out. And I think that the academy helps create a team atmosphere, and this is very important, that they feel part of a team. But it's definitely, I think the sport of tennis is definitely a great tool for any of these kids to become stronger individuals. Yeah, for sure.
Great. We had a coffee a couple of weeks ago, and we were chatting about the differences between process and winning.
Yeah.
And that kind of ties in with what we were chatting about before, about kind of sport being the gift that's that stepping stone, people grow. Can you explain what's the driving force for you around process versus winning? Because for a lot, it seems like winning is the ultimate. It's the push. But yet you talk a lot here, and so the coaches talk a lot here about this thing called process. Can you unpack that for us?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this something sometimes that people would think that it's obvious, but then you see a lot of people who don't understand, who don't really grab that process, because they really focused on the rankings and on the results, and on, for example, some parents are, my kid, is number one and under 10 in the country, he's the best, blah 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 blah, and this is very dangerous. It's very dangerous because the kids, when they're young, they really, like you said before, they want to be number one, and they really listen to these things, and they really start believing that they're really so good, and I've worked in places where the countries, there are smaller countries where they're not really like, they don't have impact on some of the best tennis in the world. Like they have, they play their tennis. For example, I was in Asia, so I experienced this, like with the number one in Indonesia or the number one in Malaysia or something. And they are like in a world where they are just like, play against other countries in the continent of Asia, but they don't realize that in Europe the level is so much stronger. Yeah. So being number one in Malaysia under 12, it doesn't really mean anything. But for some reason, a lot of people, and I think, unfortunately, parents mostly, make this a very important thing. That is number one in the 12 and under, number one in 10 under, number one in 14 and under. And this is very dangerous. It's very dangerous for the way the child looks at, how he grows. Yeah. Because he believes that he's there. That's it. I'm the best. Yeah. When he's so far away from being there. And I think it's very important to make the child understand that, whatever is going to happen in his career, whatever's going to happen with tennis, whether it's going to allow him to be, having like what happened with me, scholarship in the university, which is, also very good, or become a professional tennis player, whatever happens, or if tennis, allows him maybe to get a job at some point, or just allows him to be a better person and completely change and have a career in any other fields. I think that the kids need to feel and understand that they're, in an adventure and on a road that's very long. Yeah. If we get stuck to talking about rankings and results, the next match is what counts. Yeah. And we get stuck to a very short term and kind of like, closed mindset, because we just focus on the results to come now. Yeah. And this is very dangerous, because we have to look at the big picture. And also the kids have to understand, for us coaches, it's the worst thing that can happen, because whatever we work on, during training, and we try to make them understand to how to change, a shot, or sometimes for the younger ones we change a grip or things like that. all these things are completely forgotten about when they go to play matches.
Yeah.
And then we have to start everything all over again when they come back the week later, and it's very difficult to get a child to improve really if we are totally about winning, only about winning and only like result oriented. So what the parents need to understand is that if we focus on process, results will come. There's no doubt about it, you know. But if you focus on winning, then the results will come maybe now, but there's a lot of work that will be forgotten about, and a lot of the improvement that the kid has to make to get to his highest potential, because at the end of the day, this is the goal. Like I said, whatever they will do with tennis, our goal is to get them to their full potential.
Yeah.
And if we're stuck to the present and the result of the now, we will never attain that full potential.
So how do you reframe winning then in the context of process to a player? How do you reframe winning, let's pick an hour larger, to a 10-year-old who has 10-year-old dreams, and it's great. I like the fact that 10-year-olds have those type of dreams. But how do you frame winning to him where he won't win every match he plays in? He will play against players who will be technically and the rest of it better than him and therefore beat him. How do you keep his chin up? So
they have to realize that winning is to do things better and to improve. Winning is about improving, so you can lose a match, but you can feel like you're doing things well, you know. And this is what they have to realize. That it's not about the result, the result. And you know, we take example of maybe the best players in the world, because I mean they look up to the Federers and the Nadals and so much. So you can tell them that, you know, Federer's lost like thousands of matches in his career, and he's won 20 Grand Slams, and he's like probably the best player in history, but he's lost so many matches. And the most important, and you're a winner if you feel like every match you played something has improved, that you've done something right, you know, because you cannot win everything. And we say that actually in child's development, you know, usually if you take a child and he plays, let's say 60 matches in a year, you know, you don't want the child to win 59 matches and lose one. I mean, he will not learn anything. You know, he will feel like he's, like I said again, the best in the world, and blah blah, nobody can beat him, and I'm the best, and I'm the best, and I'm the best. And this is really, really bad for his development. So we're looking at, you know, a ratio of maybe 2 to 1. Right. Know, this would be a good ratio, okay? Because if you lose everything, is also not good for your confidence. But if you can get to win 2 matches and lose 1, and have like a ratio, let's say like 40 wins and 20 losses, you know, at the end of the year with 60 matches, perfect. Because they will learn probably more with those losses, you know. And this is how we win. We win by improving, and we win by losing sometimes, because you win because you learn. And I think that, you know, if the child understands that they need to learn more than win, then we've won. Then we've, I think, done a good job, and then they will definitely get a chance at reaching their full potential. If not, they won't.
It's I heard from a friend of mine, Chris Suter, who's a coach over in the UK, and he talked about being grateful for the person you play against, because, you know, it's like, what will I learn from you today? It's not just I'm against you, I am to beat you. But using this growth mindset, this process model of, I'm going to be grateful that if this player is even significantly better than me, I'm grateful because I'm going to get a learning out of this.
I think it's also, you know, has to do with respect. I think that sometimes we see those children, they're a little bit, they lack respect for their opponent. You know, I think that you have to have respect for everybody you play. I think a very good example, you take Federer, you know, whoever he plays against, he's very respectful of them, and, you know, then he will beat them, but but it's very respectful. I think you have to respect your opponent, and you have to see it as another person who can help you improve, definitely.
Because that was the interesting bit when we first came here. I mean, we were trying to find his level, obviously, when we arrived here, and we got him into a tournament, and he won that one, which was great for first arriving, first tournament, a win. It does the confidence some good. But then instantly he was like, he's in the wrong age group. Let's put him in the under-12s, even though he's 10. And then all of a sudden he arrives on the court, and he's this isn't coming easy. And yet the joy that I get in watching this, I see his little brain working, going, I need to work this out. This isn't just who can hold the rally the longest. I've got to make this person play. and how am I responding to the game that they're throwing back at me? And I find it odd when I explain to friends, but I've often enjoyed the games where he's lost more than where he's just very comfortably won, because I've enjoyed the experience of watching him trying to work this thing out.
Yeah, and the kid, they will always think more about the match when they're lost.
Yes.
Because when you won, it's like, okay, that's it. Okay, next. What's next? And they just move on, and they don't even think about the match. Don't try to analyze what happened or anything like that. But when they lost, they hurt. They're hurt by it, and they're thinking, what should I have done different?
Yeah.
And it's so losing match is actually a good thing. And I think that it's a shame that some parents don't realize this.
Yeah.
Some parents think that their kid, they have to win everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. They need the bragging rights or something with the other parents. I don't know, which is, at the end of the day, you wonder, who are we doing this for? Is it for the father, the mother, or for the child? And sometimes you feel like the parents are the ones who are going to have the career. It's like, this is you do it for your child, not for you. So
what is it that you have found that works, in one sense, to put it crudely, re-educating us as parents? What's worked for you in helping us as courtside parents understand process? Because in one sense, you're talking process throughout the week to the players. Then the minute they get to play on a match at a weekend in front of dad's thinking, win.
I think the communication between parents, players and coaches is key. Yeah. I think that there needs to be good communication. Yeah. I think I see sometimes some coaches and in some places that they completely avoid talking to parents. They say, okay, this is me, this is you. I'm on the court with your kid. When your kid is out of the court, you can take him and you go, and that's it. And we never talk to each other. And I think this is a huge mistake. I think it's a huge mistake because we're all a team, and we're a team working at trying to get, the child to become as good as he can be. And like I said, not only as a tennis player, but as a person, And we need to work together at this, and there needs to be good communication because the parent also needs to know what's going on the court, so that when the child talks to them, they can respond, and But I also think that the parent needs to know what their role is in this three-way relationship. Their role is to be a parent and not a tennis coach. Yeah. So I think that the parents have to really avoid trying to coach their kids. I think everybody has their job, and this is very important. And we see a lot of parents. For some reason, I don't know why tennis more than other sports. I don't know why tennis is like this, but we see, I've seen so many parents who were like the world #1 coach. So I don't know how they got there, but it seems like they know everything about the game of tennis, which is interesting.
Yeah. So as you've just touched on process, just a slight aside question. What's the excuse me? What's the process you are going on as a coach? If things are about process and development, how are you changing and developing as a coach?
I'm learning every day. I think it's also important as a coach to not believe that you know everything, even if you have 60 years behind you. I think you need to understand that the game of tennis is very complex, and there's so much around it, and you can learn always something from somebody. And I've learned from some of my coaches, that they've come to work for us at the academy here, and I've learned a lot from them. I learn from the kids every day, obviously, because we don't have the right answer to everything, and sometimes you feel like you communicate yourself in some way, and it's not the best way. So you need to reevaluate and do things differently to get to make the best out of it. But I think that it's just a state of mind. You have to believe that you can always learn. Yeah. If you believe you can always learn, then every situation will get you to grow as a coach, and that's important. And I think coaches have to be careful not to think that they know it all, because you never know it all. You can always learn something more. So that's very important, to have an open mind like this.
Yeah. What is it you're looking for in coaches then? If you have a coaching vacancy here?
What I'm looking for is, first of all, the coach will be coming here and spending time with us at the academy, and I'm looking for somebody who can communicate well with the kids, with the parents, somebody who has a good image and also has this passion for tennis, because I think that if you're not passionate about the sport, it's very difficult to really share the passion with the children, which is what I'm looking for here. I think this is the coaches, they need to share their experience with the players, and they need to do it with passion and really care I think to care for your players is very important, and the players will respond much better if they feel like you really care, and that you're really there for them, and that you're not looking at your watch every 5 seconds, and that you're willing to go the extra mile. And I think that this is what I'm looking for more than anything else. I mean, I've seen coaches with amazing CVs who were just didn't have the right profile to be here, because I just didn't see them as passionate and as caring as I think they should be when they come and work here. And they have to be a part of our family, and we have it's a small academy, we don't have so many players, but it's a bit like a family, and if the profile of the coach doesn't fit that family, then it's not going to work. So I need to feel like they can be a big brother to those kids. It's very important. They have to care a lot. Yeah.
So we've been here for 6-7 months. It flies by.
Yeah.
If Elijah's here for the next 10 years and coached by you through the culture you are creating here at this academy, if we can ever stop him wearing his BTA tennis top, which he wears constantly, so that the people watching him play are unaware where he's being trained, how would they know they've been trained through you, through the way he plays, through the way he carries himself?
Well, I'd like to think it's a lot about attitude. I think that this is something we try to also to emphasize on every day. The right attitude, respect, being calm, being under control, no swearing, no throwing the racket, no just having a very good attitude, playing in the present. So we try our players to really be focused on the here and now, we call it, on the moment. And
what does that mean? Can you unpack that a bit? That's interesting.
Well, I think that one of the keys to become a very good tennis player, and I think it works also for life in general, is to be able to be more in the moment, and not to linger on what's happened in the past and what will happen in the future. Obviously you do things with a plan, and you know where you're going, and you have a guideline, and we work with our kids on objectives and goals, so that they know where they're going. But when you play a tennis match, you need to be able to stay in the present, and working on routines and things that they do, between points, something that's always, the same, similar, so that, whether they lost a point or won a point or hit a very, very good shot or a very bad shot, things don't change. The attitude remains the same, and, they move on, like we say always.
Yeah.
1 point at a time. 1 point at a time. It's easy to say, very difficult to do.
Yes.
But this is something that I think I would like for them to be able to do consistently. Play in the present, and you see those top players. They always do things that make them, focus on something present. Nadal, when after he drinks, he puts the ball, on the court exactly in the same way that they were before, lined up, in a certain direction, which a lot of people who don't know about tennis, they would think the guy is completely crazy. But he does that because he's focusing on that at that moment. So if he focuses on that at that moment, he cannot think about the score, he cannot think about the $1 million he will win if he wins the next game.
Yeah.
He's focused on something present, and I think this is very important. And this is something that will help with the attitude, to stay, like I said, to stay calm and stay positive, and not linger on what's happened in the past. So the attitude for me is one thing that I would like, if Elijah in 10 years was still here, and we would see him as having a very, very good attitude on court, very calm, handling any situation, well, and being able to have a lot of control, and then in terms of the game in general, I've always been a believer in offensive tennis, and I think that the future of tennis is forward, and our players, we work a lot on getting them to recognize the short balls, to be able to take advantage of a short ball. The higher you get into the game, and the older you get, and the better players you will play, the less chances you have to win the point, because they're just very good. They play very deep, and they don't give you, many chances. So to be able to recognize that short ball in that moment when this is your time to take control of the point is very important. And so that's also something that would be nice for me to see that the players that we work with for the next few years, they're able to recognize the short ball and to recognize the moment, the key moment to go and take the point. So
and to have the confidence, I guess, to go and take it.
yeah, of course. The confidence. I mean, self-confidence is a very big part of the game of tennis, but it's a very big part of life in general.
Yes, exactly.
Very important.
So, is there any key bit of advice you'd want to give to fellow courtside parents about how we are around the court? Things that you've observed where you've gone, that's not particularly healthy or helpful, or things that you've seen from courtside parents where you think, just keep being that. That's exactly what it is. That's what's needed.
During a match, I think that you need to watch, and that's it. I think that you need to have a state of mind that is that your child is doing something that he loves to do, and that he really enjoys it, and he's very excited about his match, and he's going to go into his match maybe nervous, but it's at the end of the day, it's something that he loves. So whatever happens in the match, he will keep loving it. And there will be times when he will be very frustrated and maybe even crying and feeling like it's the end of the world. I've wanted to quit tennis like 58 times in my life, but I never did. So you just have to watch. You just have to watch, and like I said before, try to understand the game of tennis by talking to the coaches and be more aware, because I think that being aware of the sport that your child is involved with is very important. And I think too many parents are not aware of it, and too many parents don't understand it. So they might see a mistake from their child and think, "Oh, what are you doing?" when it was actually a very good shot, and they just missed it because you cannot make everything. And they will applaud the double fault from the opponent because they believe the child has won the point. So that's so good that he's won the point when actually the child hasn't done anything. So all these things are important. If you're aware of the sport and you understand it, then you will be a better parent for sure. But when there's a match, just watch. Just watch and be totally neutral, meaning that you just challenge to understand that this is a game between two people and we respect each other. So if the other player hits a good shot, we need to clap for the other player, just like we clap for our child. There's no more for one or more for the other. It's just two children playing each other, and we respect both, and we need to be fair to both of them in the same way. I think that parents who just completely fans of their own child and it completely avoid to clap or say anything good to the other child is a real shame. But just watch, enjoy the moment, have a smile on your face because your child is playing tennis. Enjoy the moment, watch the match, and learn from the sport by talking to the coach. I think it's very important to be more aware.
So last question from me to you is, and I'll let you get back out into the sunshine. Tell us about Barcelona Tennis Academy.
Yeah, well, the idea behind BTA is to offer something very individual, in a team atmosphere. Yeah. This is what I was saying before. I mean, to become a successful tennis player and successful person in general, you need to have something more personalized. If the academy is too big, too many kids, too many coaches, too many people around it, it's difficult to offer something more personal. And this is what we want to achieve, is to get to the point where we have a team of players, a team of coaches, but that every player feels like they're unique, that they're taken care of in the way they need to be taken care of, because they're all different and they all need something specific. So this is what we're trying to do every day, the best we can. And yes, we run obviously an annual program, and Elijah is one of our players. He's a younger player, so our younger players, they usually do half a day, which is more than enough for them. And we have currently 16 players who are with us all year. About half of them go to school. We have a relationship with the British College of Gaba, which is a school working with the Cambridge system. So it's a British school, and it's going really well. And they have a schedule where that allows them to play in the morning and the afternoon if they want to, and to train both tennis and fitness, and go to school about 4 hours per day. They have lunch in school, and it works well for us, and it's very important. As a person who went to university, who has a master's degree, it's something for me that has always been key, that the student have a plan B and that they get an education. So it was very important when we study at the academy to have a relationship with an international school. It was key to the success of the academy, because it's very important for the kids to have an education, and it's important for them to get out and away from the tennis courts, and to have a social life also with other children who are not tennis players. Maybe play other sports or do other things or have other hobbies. It's important for them to also, spend time with other kids. So this is working very well for us. And apart from the annual program, we have weekly programs, we have monthly programs, we have program during the summer. We have groups coming to visit us also to do a week or two of training. Adults, so a bit of everything. And obviously depending on the time of the year, it's more or less busy. I mean, this is a seasonal place with the beach and everything, so we're a bit busier from April to August, a bit less busy from September to March, but it's usually a good climate all year long, as you can
it's not too shabby.
Confirm. We've had good weather even in months of December, January has been nice, so a bit of rain here and there, but mostly sunshine and the weather that allows us to play tennis outside all year long.
Yeah.
We play 365 days a year outside, so
it's great.
It's good.
Raphael, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure doing this, and it's good to catch up with you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Probably see you later on this afternoon with a beer in my hand, watching the little man play tennis whilst you're coaching.
We'll be here. Yeah, I'll be on court. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks so much, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So welcome to some post-match reflections with Kath and I as we reflect on all that we've learnt from Rafa today. What a fantastic... That was slightly... felt a little bit awkward asking Raf, if I'm completely honest, to do an interview. When he first said yes, I didn't know whether he felt he couldn't say no to us. But the minute the podcast started, he certainly settled into it and enjoyed himself doing it, and grateful for it. So, Kath, what did you learn from, particularly from a guy who we've got to know over the past 9 months?
I think for me, what something I'd never really thought about actually is that real sense of respect for the other player on the court, which I know sounds really silly to have never thought about. But actually, again, with my slightly competitive streak, I see the opposition as, okay, well, how's my child going to beat you? And you stand between me having a good Saturday or not having a good Saturday. But actually to view that opponent in a really positive sense of, thanks for turning up today. And actually, thank you for what you will teach my child today in terms of match play, in terms of, just that different character that they bring on court and the learning that my son gets from that. So to view the opponent in a totally different way and to equally applaud as much their play as my own son's.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'll try desperately hard now to be more appreciative, particularly if he gets thumped. But because there is the learning in it, and I thought it was fascinating where Raf said he would prefer to have a 2-to-1 ratio. The last thing he wants is a player to be winning all the time, because there's no learning through the winning. And that's an interesting reflection, that instead of the car journey home lamenting the loss, it's more during the car journey home when they've had the ability sometimes to grieve over the fact they've lost, because it might have been a fine, it might have been significant, but not to force it too quick, but actually to say, well, what are we learning from today? Because actually it might have been a fine margin that meant you didn't take home the trophy, but your footwork was stronger, your attitude was better, you seemed more alive on the court, it just wasn't quite your day today.
And I think equally there was that real sense, wasn't there, from him around that long term. You're playing a process, isn't it, for the long term? And I think, again, it's very easy to be kind of in the moment and it's all about the winning right now, or, understanding and nailing everything every time. But equally, as a parent, I should know, and certainly in the job that I have, that's not the reality, that we learn as we go along. And it's often through maturity and that learning through failing that we really see the massive growth spurts. So why I never spot these things, I do not know. I'm clearly a very slow learner. But again, just that refocus on the long term. And playing with that in mind.
Exactly. I think you said the phrase, winning is to do things better. Instead of just winning the match, but today my serve was better, so I am winning. I love that. And the last reflection for me, just on him as a coach and as a person, I love the fact that he talked about being a coach is a gift to him. The gift of being able to inspire, to be a role model, and to help develop a whole life for young people. And if ever you were wondering, what the characteristics I want to look for in a coach, well, I think that's a good place to start. It's not just on the technical ability, but it's the fact that it brings him joy to enable these young people to grow through the sport that they love. So thank you all for joining us again here on Courtside. Please do join us next time, and wherever it is that your courtside journey takes you, I hope that it's a place of great joy and fulfillment for you all. All the very best.